Hello friends, I am Garima Kuswaha, second year professional medical student at GMC Betia, and in this video I would be teaching you people about human reproduction, which is class 12th NCERT summary for your boards and for your Neet exam. So let's get started with the video. The male reproductive system is located in the pelvic region in the human. The testes are situated outside the male abdominal cavity within a pouch called scrotum, which maintains the temperature of testes 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature necessary for process known as spermatogenesis. Each testis has about 250 compartments called testicular lobules. Each compartment contains 1 to 3 highly coiled seminiferous tubules in which sperms are produced. In a testis, each seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by two types of cells called male germ cells, spermatogonia and Sertoli cells. In testis, Sertoli cells provide nutrition to the germ cells. The region outside the seminiferous tubule is called interstitial space, containing small blood vessels and intestinal cells, which are also known as Leydig cells. The male sex accessory ducts called rete testis, vas efferentia, epididymis and vas deferens. Rete testis, vas efferentia, epididymis and vas deferens. The vasa efferentia leaves the testis and open into epididymis located along the posterior surface of each testis. In males, the urethra originates from the urinary bladder and extends through the penis to the external opening called urethral meatus. The enlarged end of penis is called glans penis, is covered by a loose fold of skin called as foreskin. The male accessory organ glands include paired seminal vesicles, paired bulbourethral glands and unpaired prostate gland. Glands include paired seminal vesicle, paired bulbourethral glands and unpaired prostate gland. The section of male accessory glands constitutes seminal plasma, which is rich in fructose, calcium and certain enzymes. The secretion of bulbourethral glands also helps in lubrication of the penis. In a female, each ovary is about 2 to 4 cm in length and connected to pelvic wall and uterus by ligaments, suspensory ligaments. In each ovary stroma is divided into two zones, peripheral cortex and inner medulla. Each fallopian tube is about 10 to 12 cm long. It has three parts: funnel, sepid, infundibulum, wider parts ampulla and last part isthmus. The shape of the uterus is like inverted pear. The cavity of cervix is called cervical canal, which along with vagina forms the birth canal. The three layers of tissues in wall of uterus are perimetrium, myometrium and endometrium. Mons pubis is a part of female external genitalia with a cushion of fatty tissues covered by skin and pubic hair. Labia minora are a part of female external genitalia, which are paired folds of tissues under the labia majora. Labia majora are part of female external genitalia that are fleshy folds of tissues which extends down from mons pubis and surrounding vaginal opening. The opening of vagina is often covered partially by a membrane called hymen. Clitoris is a tiny finger-like structure which lies at the upper junction of two labia minora above urethral opening. The glandular tissue of each breast is divided into 15 to 20 mammary lobes containing cluster of cells called alveoli, which secretes milk and store it in cavities. In mammary glands, mammary tubules of each mammary lobe join to form mammary duct, which in turn join to form wider mammary ampulla that is connected to the lactiferous duct through which milk is sucked out. The process of spermatogenesis begins at puberty due to significant increase in gonadotropin releasing hormone GnRH. A spermatogonia is a diploid cell containing 46 chromosomes. During spermatogenesis, the secondary spermatocytes undergo second meiotic divisions to produce 4 equal haploid spermatids, which are transformed into spermatozoa by a process called spermiogenesis. The process in which sperms are finally released from the seminiferous tubule is called spermiation. The release of the sperms is called spermiation. In males, LH acts on Leydig cells and stimulates synthesis and secretion of androgens, whereas FSH acts on Sertoli cells and stimulates secretions factor, androgen binding protein, which helps in the process of spermiogenesis. The sperm head contains an elongated haploid nucleus, the anterior portion of which is covered by a cap-like structure called acrosome. A human male ejaculates about 200 to 300 million sperms during a coitus, of which for normal fertility at least 60% of the sperms must have normal shape and size, and at least 40% of them must show vigorous motility, 40% vigorous motility and 60% normal shape and size or morphology. The seminal plasma along with the sperms constitute the semen. Semens equal to seminal plasma plus sperms. The process of formation of a mature female gamete is called oogenesis. Oogonia starts division and gets temporarily arrested at prophase 1 stage of meiotic division and are called primary oocytes. At puberty, 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary in human female. The primary follicles get surrounded by more layer of granulaceous cells and a new theca and are called secondary follicles. During oogenesis, tertiary follicles is characterized by fluid-filled cavity called antrum, seen in tertiary follicles. During oogenesis, secondary oocytes forms a new membrane called zona pellucida surrounding it. After this, Graafian follicles ruptures to release secondary oocytes from ovary by the process called ovulation. The first menstruation begins at puberty in primates and is called menarche, and it ceases around 50 years of age and is termed as menopause. During follicular phase of menstrual cycle, the primary follicles in the ovary grow to become a fully mature Graafian follicle, and simultaneously endometrium of the uterus regenerates through proliferation. During follicular phase of menstrual cycle, the secretion of gonadotropin increases gradually and stimulates follicular development as well as secretion of estrogen by Graafian follicles. Both LH and FSH attains a peak in middle of the cycles at 14th day in female with menstrual cycle of 28 days. Peak level of FSH and LH is seen at 14th day in a female with menstrual cycle of 28 days. At the middle of menstrual cycle, LH source induces rupture of the Graafian follicle and thereby the release of the ovum. Corpus luteum secretes large amount of progesterone, which is essential for maintenance of the endometrium. The normal reproductive phase in human female extends from menarche and menopause. The process of release of sperms by penis into vagina is called insemination. From penis into the vagina is called insemination, release of the sperm. In ampullary region of fallopian tube, fertilization takes place. Where ampullary region, fertilization occurs. During fertilization, a sperm comes in contact with gonopellucida layer of the plasma membrane of ovum and induces changes in it and block the entry of additional sperms. The zygote carry XX sex chromosomes would help develop into a female, and the carrying XY would form a male. The initial mitotic division of zygote are called cleavage and starts as zygotes moves towards uterus, forms 2, 4, 8, 16 daughter cells called blastomeres. It's a mitotic division. The embryo with 8 to 16 blastomeres calls morula. What called? Morula, which continues to divide and transforms into blastocysts. The blastomeres in the blastocyst are arranged into outer layer called trophoblast and an inner group of cells attached to it called inner cell mass. Inner one will form the embryo. Implantation is the process in which blastocysts become embedded in the endometrium of the uterus and leads to pregnancy. After implantation, finger-like projection appears on the trophoblast called chorionic villi, which are surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood. Placenta facilitates the supply of oxygen and nutrients and removal of CO2 and excretory material produced by embryo. It is connected through umbilical cord to the embryo. Placenta acts as endocrine tissue as it produces hormones called HCG, HPL, estrogen and progesterone. In latter phase of pregnancy, a hormone called relaxin is secreted by ovary. After implantation, the inner cell mass differentiates into outer layer of ectoderm, inner layer of endoderm and a middle layer of mesoderm. An inner cell mass contains certain cells called stem cells which have the potency to give rise to all the tissues and organs. What stem cells can give rise to all the tissues and organs? By the end of second month, fetus develops limbs and digits, and by the end of first trimester, most of the major organ systems are formed. The first movement of the fetus and appearance of hairs on head are usually observed during 5th month of pregnancy. The average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months, which is called gestation period. Parturition is induced by complex neuroendocrine mechanism. The signals for parturition originates from fully developed fetus and placenta, which induce mild uterine contractions called placental fetal ejection reflex. Okay, the fetus and the placenta gives the signals that I want to come out. Oxytocin hormones acts on the uterine muscles and causes larger uterine contractions. Oxytocin is responsible for uterine contractions. The milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called colostrum, which is rich in IgA, which contains several antibodies. So this is all about this chapter. I hope you like the session. Do like, subscribe to my channel. Thank you. All the best.